I'm Olivia. I am a wildlife and travel photographer. My goal is to inspire people to give a shit.
I'm Pat. Spent 10 years in the Marine Corps. I have strong views on conservation and the U.S. Constitution.
We will discuss topics like yoga,
How to gut a deer and not fuck up your meat.
orgasmic meditation,
Full body orgasms.
life after divorce.
Life after death.
Why the fuck do we still use plastic bags?
Why can't everyone learn guitar in school?
What do you look for in the perfect photo?
What's in my food?
What's in my mouth?
We might also dabble in a little bit of motorcycles. That's right. She rides a Harley, bitches. While our upbringings drastically differed,
Our ability to communicate and be open-minded has allowed us to strengthen our relationship. So this podcast is here for you to broaden your horizons, possibly change your perspective on a topic. So we hope you enjoy listening to the Hunter and Hippie.
welcome to the Hunter and Hippie. I'm Pat.
I'm Olivia.
This is episode 20,
Oh shit.
the big dubstep.
What does that mean?
Dub 20.
Oh.
Previous shows we have spoken about, everything from healthcare tips to easy living, hunting, motorcycles. One thing we have not talked about or even touched was the fact that you're a photographer, and those that follow our show, they can follow a link and go to your website and then see some of your work, where you're an amazing landscape artist and wildlife photographer. And what I would like to do on this episode is ask you questions pertaining to photography.
All right.
Sweet.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny because it's taken us that long to do the hunting and then it's taken us this long to do photography. When I did that questionnaire of like, what are topics that you want to know about while you were out of town?
Yeah.
The number one, it was tied. Number 1 and 2 were photography and then like relationship, like when to walk away.
Right.
So the two that you guys wanted to hear, it's taken us 20 episodes. Thank you for waiting.
Yeah. Thanks for being patient. We are broadening our horizon when it comes to topics, and we are trying to find topics that are relative to you guys as the listeners.
Relevant.
That's what I said.
You said relative.
Well, fuck. Coffee is hard today. I'm going to need another cup.
Should we go do that?
We could.
Should we just put on like the elevator music?
Yeah. So while you wait, you're going to listen to my annoying ass voice. She's making coffee. I'm going to keep talking. One of the biggest things that I run into when I am doing any type of photography is I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I just push random buttons and hope it turns out good. Thanks to autofocus and the selector of the shutter and the f-stop and all the stuff that I don't know jack shit about that I'm going to have Olivia clear the air with today. So back to what I was talking about. I want to ask you questions pertaining to photography. Like, I don't know anything about photography. Can you clear the air? But before you do, maybe first tell the viewers your history when it comes to photography and how you got started.
Okay. Well, when I graduated high school in 2008, I was gifted a Nikon, like D70 or something old. And so that was 2008. And then 2014, and I hardly ever used it. Mm-hmm. I like took pictures and I like saw something beautiful. And then I looked in the preview and I was like just disappointed and frustrated. Like, what the fuck? That's not how I wanted it to look, or that's not what it looks like. So in 2014, I was about to go to do a 2-week road trip, fly into Tacoma, Washington, and do a huge loop, go up to Glacier. And I knew that it was going to be beautiful country. I'd never been up, that far north in Montana, and I really wanted to capture it. So I brought that camera that I've had. So that was 6 years later.
The Nikon?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I bring this Nikon and I take pictures and I'm like, sweet, that's beautiful. And I'm like getting really into it. I'm, captured some really beautiful landscape type stuff. And then I put it in my computer and I started to really look at them. And I was so disappointed in the resolution because this, it was an old camera.
Right.
So I Google like the model and I say, how many megapixels does this thing have? it had fewer megapixels than my iPhone. So it was just like very disappointing. I went to this beautiful country, the back country, and the national parks are absolutely beautiful up there. It was fall, so all the leaves were vibrant and gorgeous. And then my pictures are just like meh. So that was, me getting into it. And my ex-husband was obviously there with me. And he, I think, probably saw my interest in it and how I just like literally was taking pictures of everything that was around us. And there were some that if it was, a better camera, I could have released, but it wasn't. So the following Christmas, he gifted me a Canon Rebel T6i, I believe it was. And it had, like a basic bitch lens, nothing fancy. The ones that you get on like an entry level, camera like that, the glass isn't great. Like the mechanisms inside aren't great. So like I didn't know any different, but the resolution on this newer Rebel was higher. So I started taking this camera everywhere with us and on hikes and whatever. And I got really just excited about, I don't know, learning what I could do with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm that type of person. I have like an engineer type brain, like I want to know how things work and what makes this do that. And just like a car, like I bought a stick shift when I was like 18 because I wanted to understand how to drive a stick and I wanted to control the car better, automatic. The computer decides when it shifts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like automatic in a camera. The camera is deciding the settings based on, the lighting and whatever it reads inside the camera. So what I started to do, I found YouTube channels that I resonated with, like different creators that I liked their photography and I also liked the way they described how to do and how to capture. And, so many people in the photography industry that are like professionals, they use like all these big words and like depth of field and all this stuff that in the beginning, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Depth of field, like what? So I found ones that kind of explain things in layman's terms. And I started in baby steps with that same Rebel camera. So like a Rebel is literally like an entry level, not a full frame camera, but it's better than a point and shoot, like one of those little ones with the tiny screens.
Right.
So it's better than that, but it's not a full frame professional body. And professional bodies start anywhere from like 2,000 and they can go up to, many thousands.
Right.
So what I started to do to understand the camera, because I knew that if I wanted to capture what I was seeing, I needed to get into manual mode. But to get into manual, there was a lot of things. There's, the ISO, like you were talking about, f-stop, shutter. There's so many things that if you don't even know how to make those all combine, you're just going to be, I don't know, lost. So what I started with, I can't remember which one came first. I want to say it was aperture priority. So like on a Canon, it's AV. Aperture priority means that you are only controlling the aperture. So shutter, the computer, the robot in the camera is still going to figure that out for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to understand what aperture did, and that's that F, that like kind of cursive F.
Yeah. So when you're looking at aperture and the settings for aperture, what is the aperture control in a camera?
So, and again, I didn't go to school for this. I just learned it through YouTube and, trial and error. So aperture kind of controls how much light goes into the little reader thing. See, technical terms.
Sure.
They aren't my
the reader thing. But what does it control as far as the photo that you're taking? How much brightness is in the photo?
Well, so like if it's a dimly lit, environment, kind of like what we're in now, I have this camera, I think, set at f4 or f4 point something, right?
4.5. Yeah.
Yeah, 4.5. So what that means is it's opposite. It's very confusing. So to me, at least. So like f-stop, as the f-stop, the number gets lower, that allows more brightness in. So the lower the number, the like the lower the number, the smaller the focal point, but that lets in more light. So for us, if I did f2.8 here, it would be, we're close together, but it would be a smaller focal point. So I might be slightly blurry, or you might be, depending on where I put the focal point on.
Yeah.
So if I wanted,
hopefully on you, because
no, I think it's on you because you were sitting here. You're always the one I focus on. But and then if you go to f11, f13, whatever, that is great for like if I have my camera on a tripod, everything in the shot is in focus.
Okay.
So if I wanted a beautiful, like everything in this, it's a beautiful landscape. If I want everything to be crystal clear and I don't want to focus on one area, that's the type of thing that I would open it up. Or like a huge group photo, you would have the f-stop higher, so that everyone is in focus. Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay. So that's AV mode. What else do you work with on the Canon?
So when I did the aperture, what I noticed is it was all moody. Like I love when there's like a focal point and then everything else is blurry behind it with bokeh.
Yeah.
And bokeh is like somebody on stage and all the lights behind them are blurry balls, like circles.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of, that's called bokeh, B-O-K-E-H. So I love that effect. I love to bring focus into like one thing. And I was loving that. But what I was noticing when I was in aperture priority is sometimes, depending on the lighting, the shutter would be too slow. So then it was blurry.
Right.
And I'm like, shit, like now I need to mess with shutter and try to understand the shutter priority. And shutter priority is the TV. The only way I remembered it is like shutter has 2 T's. So TV, shutter priority. And this is on Canon. I'm not really sure if all the letters and things are the same on Sony and Nikon and all the other ones.
Right.
But I liked Canon. I asked a lot of friends who were professional photographers before really getting into it, what do you like the best about Canon? I had one of my closest friends. She was a wedding photographer in San Diego, and she loved Canon. She liked the interface. It was easy to use. Another one was a wedding photographer in like the Cook Islands. Same answer. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stick with Canon, because when you buy a camera, you have to, if you get into it, you're going to be buying lenses and batteries and adapters and all this stuff. So you're going to be investing into a brand. Most of the time, you're probably not going to want to switch a couple years later when you have like 5 lenses and it's like $20,000 in equipment. So I knew that, okay, I'm going to stick with Canon. So what I started to do then, I went to the shutter and I started to understand like what speed was the lowest or the slowest without any kind of blur. So depending, like, if I'm photographing an event, or just us, say we're hiking, I'll put it at 1/200 is what it looks like on your camera.
Yeah.
And that tends to be like the lowest that you can get away without having that blur. But what's funny is I'll have those settings and I'll like hand the camera to my sister or my ex, or you're much better, but you're also Mr. Sniper. So anybody else, I would hand it and I'm like, okay, like the settings are here. All you have to do is point and shoot. Nope. Like, shit, man. Yes, like 1/200th is great. But if you're taking a picture and you're moving your hand, there's going to be that movement. So you're adding your hand movement to the person moving. So then it's going to be blurry. So you just have to really hold your hand and cradle the camera, kind of like when you're shooting, you take a picture like on the exhale, like in that, what'd you call it?
Respiratory pause.
That respiratory pause. And really being aware, and like I bring my elbows in and, like there's a stance. But if you're just going to think you can just take it and, while you're running by something, it's not going to work. So I started to really grasp the shutter. I'm like, okay. And I also found this person, I can't remember who it was, but she said, like, it was a girl. She said, like you can get away with pretty much most things at 1/200th of a second. So that's great. I'm like, cool. I'll leave it there. That'll be the lowest I go. Even like, if you're on a tripod, if the thing that you're trying to photograph is moving, like you still want to stay at 1/200th. Okay. So that, and then I started to get into the ISO. And I'm like, what is ISO? And that's like a way to brighten the settings on the camera. So like, I think our camera right now is at 800. And I this could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure with ISO, it like adds white to brighten the whole picture. But the higher you go, the noisier the image can get.
Okay.
So
like more, like the background will be brighter and blurrier.
no, so like noise is, when you see a picture and it looks like dots,
Yeah.
like the whole image is dotted
Mhm.
and it's not crisp, and you're like, that looks funny, like static almost.
Mhm.
That's the ISO being too high.
Okay.
So like Lightroom, I use Lightroom Classic. I don't like the mobile one. It just doesn't have enough features for me. So I use Lightroom Classic, and they have a thing called denoise. And that's like AI or the computer adding pixels that it thinks it needs. So if like there's been plenty of times where I'm shooting, there's one event that I shoot and the lighting is so bad there and it's so inconsistent throughout the room that I keep the ISO higher, and I know that almost every photo I'm going to edit, I have to denoise a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a poorly lit room that the lower I'll go in, shutter, I'm going to have a blurry image. So I'd rather have a slightly noisy image that I can add that denoise feature than to have, say, a blurry shot.
Okay. That makes sense.
Sweet.
So it's like feedback in an amplifier on a guitar.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about focus? Like, is there a specific way you navigate focus when it comes to like distances? So if it's like a landscape shot and, you're taking a picture of a mountain, but you're 1,000 feet away, what are you doing with your focus? Are you putting it in auto? Are you doing manual?
I never do manual. My eyes aren't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I really struggle with so my new camera, the R6,
Mm-hmm.
It might be an R5.
R5.
Is it R5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark 5.
No, this is the 5D Mark 4.
Okay.
And that's I think the R6 Mark 2. I don't know. It's something like that.
The mirrorless one.
The mirrorless one. So the difference though with the mirrorless, and I was hesitant. I don't like buying any new technology until it's been out for at least a year.
Right.
Because there's bugs, there's funky things. Like I don't want to be the guinea pig that spends, a few $1,000s on a body and it's shit. So I waited for people who bought it, and I asked them, how do you like it? And I started to hear really positive feedback. So then I went on to B&H Photo, which I absolutely love them. I think they're based in New York City, and like the largest camera company ever. So I use B&H for everything, like any equipment, because of their customer service. They're legitimately like, hi, this is Lindsay. Like it's not, somebody from another country helping with the support. So what I did, I said, hey, I'm kind of kicking around the idea between the R6, R5, like what are the features? This is what I do. And so this girl said, okay, well, this is what I love about this one. This is what I love about that. So eventually through her help, I ended up buying the new camera. And I'm coming back to the viewfinder thing. So with the mirrorless, the viewfinder's digital now.
Mm-hmm.
So like the one that we're shooting with right now, it's just like a viewfinder. So if I change the settings, it's like a dark room, but the settings have, like the light meter tells me it's bright enough. The viewfinder's still dark, like what you're seeing in real life.
Yeah.
But with the new one, as I edit the settings in the camera, the viewfinder will show me the settings that I'm doing.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. So it's so much easier for me with not so great eyes to see this is kind of what the photo will look like.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people use like the viewfinder in the back to, take a picture. I don't know. That just seems like cheating.
Yeah. So like that LCD screen you're talking about on the back, so I noticed on your new camera that screen is slightly darker than through the viewfinder. So if I'm looking through the viewfinder and, you do all the settings, you just hand me the camera. But when I look through the viewfinder on your new camera, like you said, if I change the setting on it, I can tell that I changed it because the viewfinder, the image, it gets darker or brighter based on me turning the dial.
Well, yeah.
And, so
exactly.
I don't know what the settings are supposed to be, but I remember what the original photo brightness looked like when I looked through it. So you hand it to me and I'll automatically just start playing with stuff. So I'm like,
Perfect.
and I roll it a few
I feel
times
like
left and roll it a few times right. So I go too dark, too light, and then I bring it back to what it was.
Well, and so like the cool part about the new camera is I've discovered this by Google. Like there's so many things that, you know, when you buy a camera, the settings are very basic and there are things that you can change in there to cater to what you're going to photograph. So like, you know, if I'm going to photograph people versus wildlife, like there's different settings that you can do to hopefully have a crisp shot of a bird, which I still have never captured. Fucking birds. But yeah, so I don't do manual just because I don't trust my eyes. And what I do though is I have the focal point. So it's can't remember what it's called, like the setting type on say this camera. It's like a grid and I can hit this one button on the camera and then move that focal point to what I want to focus on. So like what you were asking about, if I'm photographing a mountain, what do I focus on? I'll have the f-stop higher to open up and have more in focus and say...
To like what, 4?
No, like 7 to 9.
Okay.
But like the one I posted the other day called Alfdomzown, that one was f2.8 because if you look at that, the moss on the fence post is the only thing in focus and everything else is blurred. So like when I'm photographing that, my focal point, the little box, is going to be right on that moss. But like if I'm photographing a mountain or the canyon or something, I'm going to put it on like the main object that I think is the coolest.
Right.
So like trying to think
the peak with snow on it, say.
Yeah, but not like up in the sky where it's whitest, because then so I might go right below like where, I don't know, like the snow meets the tree line if it say isn't all white. And because then I feel like the camera and the computer in there or whatever can determine, all right, there's something here. But if you're focusing and you're overexposing the sensor like in the white only, it's, I don't know, it could be not
washed
so great.
Out.
Yeah, or something.
So for a beginner, right, who just picked up their camera, you're saying 1/200 on the shutter, and then 2.5 to 4 on your f-stop if you're shooting something close, and that's more in a focused range versus like a landscape.
Kind of like the f-stop I think is relative to like what you're shooting in that moment. Like my f-stop is always changing. But I love like, you know, things that are blurry and, you know, having one focal point, and that tends to be my photography is it's more intimate scenes, you know?
Sure.
Like landscapes of us, you know, a sunset and the mountains. Like I think so many people can do that. They can just photograph the Rockies and you can like a great sunset. Yes, you're there at the right time, the right moment. Congratulations. But like that to me doesn't challenge me. So I'm not doing a lot of that where the f-stop's super high because I want to focus on the whole landscape. Those kind of just bore me.
You talked about $20,000 in gear for accessories. What are essential gear in order to, say, go on a 2-day backpacking trip or a 5-day backpacking trip? What is essential gear that you need? Obviously batteries, but aside from extra batteries, what are you bringing with you when you load your backpack?
Like when I did the 28 miler, that, well, in that case,
I mean, that's extreme.
Yeah.
So I'm talking like somebody picks up a camera at Walmart. They want to go, you know, whatever Canon they sell at Walmart.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They're the Rebel T, whatever. What I'm saying is like somebody just starting out, they're loading their backpack for the first time.
Yeah.
To go on their first trip. What do you recommend, or what do you bring with you on your short day trips?
Well, it really depends on where I'm going. Depends on how much weight I want to carry or how much I'm already carrying. So the biggest thing, like if you're just getting into it, and I've had people ask like, what should I buy as my first camera? don't go crazy. Like, you might not like it. You might think you like it, but then you just spent $5,000 and you have a professional body and a lens that you now have to sell for probably half the price, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I always say start small, and that's what I did. Started with my Rebel. I shot with that for probably 2 to 4 years. I don't even know. And my first investment into photography that freaked me out was my 24 to 70 f2.8 lens, which we're using right now.
Yeah.
So I think I bought that in like 2017, 2018.
And what's the difference that you saw in your 24 to 70 lens versus the static 80 millimeter that you
It
have?
wasn't static. It was just like an entry level. So what I was asking people, I'm like, okay, why is this lens $2,500? You know, like, what makes this so great? The glass is much better. The mechanisms inside. So what I noticed is my images were just more crisp.
Mm-hmm.
So my photo bucket, the horses,
Yeah.
that one I shot with my Rebel and my fancy new lens. So I was super stoked to have the lens. That was my first investment. I felt like pretty, careless. The guilt I had when I bought the sauna, like,
Sure.
So what I did is I made an agreement with myself. That was my first release. And I said, like, if I can sell 10 prints, that justifies me getting a professional body, because the body was $2,000 to $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So once I hit that milestone, I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing it. And then it was like being at Disneyland for the first time. I'm like running around. I went straight to my parents' house because they have 70 acres. They had the horses there. And I just started photographing the horses and all the flowers because it was July. And then I released Healing Light.
Yeah.
So that was the first day that I opened up my fancy new 5D Mark IV and I released Healing Light. So with that, the colors were better. Like, there was more features. I had more freedom to control the settings in the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So what I recommend for somebody who's just getting started is start out with an entry level, like a Rebel, if you want to go with Canon. Start off with the Rebel, whatever number they're at now. And if you start to get really into it, invest into a lens first.
Before a body?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the glass, like, you can really get good photos. I mean, I got that crisp shot of the horses with that. So as long as your settings are right and, the lens, I think that makes a really big difference. So if you're going on a day trip or a day hike and you have just water, a couple snacks, and you can carry an extra lens because you don't know where you're going to be, sure. Like, maybe but here's the thing, then you have to have another lens.
Mm-hmm.
So my other lens, I don't even know how much that was. It was like over 2,000, the 70 to 200 with the image stabilizer inside.
Yeah.
So
that's the one that extends out.
They call them like Mighty Whiteys or something, the tan colored ones.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my third big investment. I first did the 24 to 70 because people call this lens the everyday lens, because you can get away with so much. You got the zoom, it goes far enough. You can get close enough where you're not getting into fisheye, where you're distorting or anything. So I went from there and so 24 to 70, and I'm like, okay, well, let's start at 70 and go to more of a zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So 24 to 70 and then 70 to 200. So I have 24 to 200 millimeters. That's a pretty good range to start with. So I thought, all right, this is I've got a little bundle. Like, this is my great little bundle. So those were the two that I recommend.
Mm-hmm.
But that was because, like, I like zooming in. Like, the one I got of Lone Peak, that one was shot from pretty far away on a tripod. Tripods are very important. I always bring a tripod when I'm going somewhere and I never use it.
So better to look at it than for it.
Yeah. But in that case, like when I was shooting Lone Peak, I knew I needed the tripod if I wanted this to be a crisp shot because it was shot from so far away. I used the 70 to 200 lens on that one.
So you're saying for the beginner, load your backpack with a range of zoom that you're comfortable shooting and enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, so yours is 24 to 200, but somebody who might have a 24 to 120 might be their max. They pack those out for the variety. What other gear I notice you've upgraded your what is it called, neck sling, the strap.
What strap?
I don't know. You don't use the factory strap. You use an
Oh
aftermarket
yeah,
strap.
with the factory straps. Like I didn't realize how much I hated them until my new camera, and we went on something, and I was like, oh my god, get this the fuck off my neck.
Yeah.
It's got like the anti-slip on the one side, so like if it's on my neck, it's like rubbing my neck raw because I'm trying to slide it to take a picture and it's stuck, so it's like just pulling my skin.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that on Etsy, and I like things that last, so I bought a leather strap. But what I wanted, and it was actually not that easy to find it. I was doing a lot of filming for the studio. My dad is an artist, so I was filming with the gimbal, which is those like image stabilizer things, those huge handheld things.
Yep.
And I needed the strap to come off quickly because that's going to mess with the balance and the motors because it has like 5 motors in a gimbal. So I needed to have clips to take my strap off to be able to use it for videography. So I went on to Etsy and I probably just Googled like leather straps, like camera straps. And I started to just kind of filter through all of them. And I found this one where you can customize them. So mine have like couple stamped flowers, and it's but my name on it. So I figured also if like I left it somewhere and somebody happened to know, or it's like in town or something, they know it's mine, maybe. But yeah, so that's why I got the different strap. And I didn't realize how amazing it is to not have that sticky shit until I had the sticky shit on that strap.
Yeah, I remember we were hiking. You were like, "Get this off, I mean."
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just gonna carry it. But yeah, so that's why I have just a custom strap. It's more comfortable. It's a little bit longer. When I, was still newer, I would take it hiking, and I'd be like scaling a rock, and I would bite it. And I'd be holding my camera like I'm like a lioness carrying my cub, like on all fours, crawling up these boulders with my camera dangling from my mouth. So then my next purchase for adventures, and it's actually saved my camera more times than I can admit. I bought one of those cotton carriers. That's the brand. Hey, Cotton Carrier, I'm promoting you. You should help me out and get me something fun. But it's like a chest strap. And it goes like underneath my boob and across, and it's like, you've seen it. It's like, and then I can slide it out, like I lift it. It's almost like some kind of gun holster, but I like twist the camera and lift, and then I can shoot, and it's got a little security cord in case I do drop it. And I was hiking in, I want to say probably late winter, and I full stride stepped on ice and completely banana peeled and landed on my back. But if I had my regular strap, I normally have my camera kind of on my hip, I would have probably broken a lens. But I just broke my back. Not really. So having something like that is really good if you know that you're going to be kind of going a little hardcore and you don't want to jeopardize breaking your equipment. So having different harnesses can also be a really nice thing.
What is the, I guess, key components you're looking for when you're buying a tripod?
It depends on what you need it for.
Shooting photos.
Well, no, shut. I have 3 tripods.
Yeah.
So one that is like heavy duty, definitely not backpacking with that. So that one I use when I'm like doing products, or the one that we're using right now, because
Manfrotto.
Yeah, Manfrotto is the ones that I tend to go with. I'm not completely sold on them. It just happens to be one that I think my Manfrotto's been around forever. My dad had old Manfrottos like when he was photographing back in the 80s. So this one's, I don't know, sturdy. It has a couple swivels. I have add-ons to like an arm to where if I wanted to shoot directly over a product, it's almost like a boom, but it's got a weight on the back because of the weight of the camera. So it's counterbalancing. That's a new investment. I just, not really, just opened it, bought it a year before opening it. But that freaking piece of metal with weights, like little weights on the end, I think it was like $150 for that stupid piece of metal. I've used it when I was photographing all the watches. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can go crazy. So it really depends on what you want to get into.
Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of correlation between camera equipment and shooting cameras with rifles and shooting rifles. and different scopes and things like that. So the correlation I'm seeing is when you're first starting out shooting rifles, you don't want to go buy a high-end Christensen or a Bagheera one because they're a couple $1,000s, but because you can buy a basic rifle for $350, a Remington 700, and then put a low-powered, cheaper scope on it and learn the marksmanship skills. And once you learn the marksmanship skills, you keep the same rifle and upgrade your scope.
Mm-hmm.
When you upgrade your scope, then you get really good on that scope. Then you upgrade your rifle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, then there's some people who can afford to buy all of it at once.
Yeah.
I still think even if I could afford to buy it all at once, I still wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's been some things that I think I want in photography. And then after shooting for a couple of years, I'm like, I don't need that.
Right.
You know, so
I mean, I do know guys that spend $6,000-$7,000 on their rifles, and I mean, my rifle's $6,600. So between skill and availability, you know, if you have the money, then you're saying if you have the money, go ahead and purchase it if you know that's something you want to do?
No, I mean, I was born in like a more frugal family.
Sure.
You know, like don't go crazy if you don't need to right away. So
Mhm.
I would say even if you have all the money, I would still say buy an entry level, or I don't know. I mean, if you want to go insane, go ahead, buy a professional body. So back to, I forgot to answer the rest of the tripod.
Mhm.
So I've got the industrial heavy duty, great for if there's wind. You know, if I'm photographing something from afar, I probably used that when I was photographing Lone Peak because it was middle of freaking February and like 0 degree outside.
So heavier is steadier.
Yep. And I mean, definitely for a tripod. But then I do have a backpacking tripod and it's little. You've seen it's that red and black bag in my car. I keep it in my car always. Yeah. So I always have a tripod in my car just in case. And I also didn't answer the rest of the question about what should you do on day hikes. I apologize, people. Always batteries. Yeah, just an extra battery, but always an extra SD card. Because if your SD card, I don't know, wasn't readable or just something was going wrong, then guess what? You have a big paperweight for the rest of your trip. If you cannot store the photos onto an SD card, you're fucked.
So on like the newer model Canons or even the entry-level Rebel, what size SD reader are you bringing?
It's not a mini, it's a regular SD card. And so all of the cameras use those.
Right.
I don't know about other brands.
So you use like a 32 gig, 160 gig?
Mine's like 128.
128?
Because that, you know, leaves room if I happen to want to do video. And then what I do always is after I'm done shooting, I drop all the content onto my external hard drive and I have a backup external of that external because a hacker nerd told me, he says, in this world, if you have one, you have none. So if I only had one external and that crashed, I have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have two, you have one. And I'm like, what? And then it made sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have two. So technically I have one place, you know, that I know in case something happened, I have all my photos. But when I'm done and everything's off that SD card, I go into my camera and you can reformat the card.
Mm-hmm.
So I reformat the card pretty much every time when it's empty, just so I don't have corrupt images, because that happened one time. I can't remember where I was. I was so upset when I got home. Like 80% of the photos were corrupt and damaged. Remember the VHS, like when there was like the block rainbow? Like,
oh, yeah.
They looked like that pretty much.
Tracking bar.
I was so sad. So yes, so always have extra SD cards, always have extra batteries. Before I invested in my R6, I only had, you know, my 5D Mark IV and then my Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
But I would bring my Rebel just in case, because imagine if my camera didn't turn on and I was at like photographing, you know, the Hall of Fame induction, and then what?
Right.
So the first time I photographed that, I had my little Rebel as a backup, but it was better than nothing because I had all my good lenses. So I think just being prepared for something to potentially go wrong. Like my backpack, whenever I'm traveling, I always have some of those lens wipes, the lens cleaner, like one of those little air things that you can squeeze and it blows air, like dust out of places.
Mhm.
Like it's kind of like one of those big bellows, but it's a little one.
Mhm.
So having just stuff in case you drop it in the sand, like how are you going to get all that out with your t-shirt? No, you're going to scratch the shit out of the glass. So yeah,
So what would you use? Like microfiber?
no, like the ones that you use for sunglasses.
Okay. Like the soft terry cloth?
Yeah, it's not terry cloth.
Well,
Terry cloth is looped, and I know this because of art school. Okay, not terry.
jeez. Whatever, stick your cotillion up your ass.
Is that a number?
Cotillion is not a number, guys. I thought it was.
Yeah, that was the best conversation ever.
It was. Aside from the gear, right, is there a specific mindset you have to get in before you start photographing objects and people and things, or is it second nature for you?
No, I would say I definitely notice it's a trend and I'm just going to go with it, like accept it. When I'm photographing anything, it tends to be towards the end are my favorite photos. So I think it's kind of like warming up, like yoga or doing any sport.
Mhm.
You have to kind of be willing to have like the first few suck
Okay.
or just not be your favorite. My mindset is kind of like my website, Live Me Be, is about slowing down and just finding happiness in the small things and in nature. So there will be times where, you know, I just go out into the yard or go on a quick hike and I have my camera and I don't tend to touch it until like probably the first 20 to 30 minutes have already passed.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's like kind of getting in a mindset of slowing down and opening your eyes to what's around you and shutting up the brain. So letting your grocery list and your to-do list kind of just push those aside for a couple hours. But to get there, you do have to kind of settle in to yourself and quiet your mind.
Mhm.
So yes, so like when I'm photographing, I shoot with my left eye and most people are right eye dominant. So I don't know like if, it turns on a different side of the brain than most people, because you're looking through a different eye. I think I did look it up and it said that there could be a correlation between shooting with different eyes. So what I notice I do when I see something, I immediately close my right eye and I'm kind of looking at it with one eye. Have you seen me do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm like kind of tilting my head, looking at something like that'd be a really cool shot. And I don't know if that's how most people like who photograph, who they see something. Yeah. Like yeah. Do they frame it up? Do they just, and maybe that's why people use the little viewfinder as their eyeballs because they can't do that.
Mhm.
They can't just see it and be like, oh, if I shot at, f2.8 and I did this and I shot down low, like that would be a really cool shot. Do they need to see it in the camera? I don't know. I didn't ask anybody.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so I do get into a mindset, just getting quiet and letting the world happen. My best-selling image, Let It Snow. People said, like, what were you doing when you photographed that? I was like, I was waiting. I just wanted to see what was going to happen on Main Street. It was just such a cool morning. It was such a sleepy winter morning, stereotypical Deadwood, in the
Mhm.
winter, like
Yeah.
nothing's happening. And I had all my gear. I knew what I wanted to achieve. And I knew that with my longer lens, my 70 to 200, I could get that depth of field. There's that word, the depth of field that I wanted, so that there was separation between the subjects and the buildings and the snow and everything.
Mhm.
So I just set up my tripod and I waited. I sat there in the snow for an hour. Then I saw the car pull up, saw a guy pop the trunk and pull out suitcases. And I was like, oh my God, please cross the street.
Yeah.
And he started to cross the street. And I have a thing, it's like a pet peeve. I do not like having my shutter on high speed continuous, which is like rapid firing where you
Right.
hold it down and
Yeah,
it
like
just
30 photos.
yeah, like 100 in like a second or something. I don't like doing that. I just feel like, again, that's cheating to me. You guys can do it if you want. I'm sure it's great when you're like photographing sports because you might have, you might have missed the perfect shot. But for me, I like shooting it's called, I think, low speed continuous. So I can't hold it down and just rapid fire. but it's quick to where if I have to get something, I can go click, 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 click.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Because I've tried to hold it down and cheat and go, and I'm like, but every time I feather the button, it'll.
Yeah. So what I was doing with that guy, I was timing his steps because I wanted him to be in stride. So I would watch his feet and I'd click, click, like every time he took a step and was extending different legs. And that's how I got that shot. People thought I photoshopped that guy in there. I'm like, no, I just waited.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing, it's kind of like hunting. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to sit somewhere. If you want a shot and you're really inspired and you really want to try photography out, you have to be willing to spend hours out there and not get the shot.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of times where I'm like, God, like the sky sucked tonight, and I went out and I hiked and I did all this and it was all overcast, but it's okay. You still got outside and you were probably able to practice shooting. So I don't know. You just have to be okay with not getting what you want.
Yeah. And, it's funny because when we were in New Mexico and we were at the rifle range and I was having you shoot my rifle, I could see that you were like nervous, and I just said, pretend you're shooting your camera. And I watched you just go, oh. And then you like super relaxed and you're like, oh, there's the target. Okay. And then this is the button. Boom. Like, oh shit. Did I hit it? And it's like, yeah.
No, probably not.
You did.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh.
You don't remember?
No.
Yeah, you hit 9 out of 10 rounds on target.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Could I be a sniper?
No.
Oh. Hi.
Many reasons.
Yeah, I know. We don't have to go into that. I already know the answer. Was there anything else? You were asking me funny questions when you were like in the shower. You were like, why do you do that? How do you do this?
Yeah, I don't remember any of those. I don't know, because they were funny in the moment.
I like flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah. So she's like, what kind of questions are you going to ask me? I was like, I don't know. I'll ask them when they come to me, because I think that unscripted and unedited is better.
Yeah. And a lot of people said they wanted the unedited.
Well, yeah, because we're idiots. And people laugh. Yeah. People find humor in other people. There's comedians that make a living off of making fun of people.
We're not making fun of anybody.
I know. People are making fun of us.
Perfect.
It's awesome.
Great.
I don't care.
They're like, oh, you idiot. You used the wrong term.
Yeah.
You're not a photographer. No, I did not go to school. I always have people ask me that. But I was raised in a family full of artists.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I potentially have an advantage of knowing composition, even like seeing contrast and understanding like complementary colors in a photo, and like what color palette am I trying to achieve. Like when I photograph Winter's Coming, the leaves, all I was doing was sitting. Alex and I were waiting for our men to finish fly fishing in the middle of November in Missoula. And we're sitting there freezing our ass off, literally, because we're sitting on a huge boulder that's frozen. And I looked to my left and I just see this beautiful frozen puddle. And these leaves like look fake. They're like purple and blue. And I'm like, oh my God, Lex, look at this puddle. It looks like mom in a puddle. And so I snapped a shot. And then I got home and went through all my photos. I take, depending on, where I am, but I take like 300 to 500. I don't take that many, probably because I'm not rapid firing. But I saw that leaf shot. I'm like, oh yeah, this was for mom. I could do this for a Christmas present. So that shot was for my mom, and I printed one out. And then she had it custom framed. She ended up having a custom liner painted like a plum color to match the color of the leaves in the shot. And then like her best friend saw it, my aunt saw it, my other aunt saw it, and they're all like, I want one. And I was like, oh shit, it's leaves. It's just leaves. And they're like, but it's such like beautiful gem tones. So a lot of my shots that do well, at least, they're shot with someone in mind, or they're shot because I'm like, oh my God, like this is so beautiful. And then I release it because it's something that I'm passionate about. And I think if you're photographing, photograph like stuff that makes you excited. So don't photograph stuff that you think other people will like. photograph things that light you up, and then you're going to find the niche that you want to be in. You're going to find your fans who see things just like you and appreciate things just like you. So if I was photographing scenes like landscapes, like, you know, what's his name? The old guy.
Bob.
Shut up. No. Ansel Adams. If I shot stuff like Ansel Adams and I just shot scenery, like, yeah, people like that kind of, but then I don't know. It's just so boring.
Yeah. Since being together with you, you know, I went into this art gallery. He was a photographer and painter. He was in Sioux Falls. And I walked through his gallery and I was just like super underwhelmed because all of his photos were like, there was no focal point to any of it. It was all just like a giant panoramic shot from an iPhone is what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of people that like that, and I don't want to bash that as like an art form, but it's very basic.
Yeah, it's just boring.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'll look at your photos and there's like, I could see the hair on the buffalo or, you know, or on the fuck are those cows called? Highlands. I could see like fine detail of their hair and the grass stuck in their hair. I know exactly where you're at when you took those photos, and I drive by them every day and I don't notice those details until you capture it in a photo. And then I look at it and I'm like, oh, wow. So I'm seeing things as a fan. I see things that I wouldn't normally see with my naked eye and or that I didn't know existed because your focal point of your photography is
details.
Yeah, it's super detailed. So I guess that's why I wanted to ask you questions on it so that one, the viewers could get an understanding of what you do and how you process your camera in order to take the photos you take, but more so just find out from you like what type of mindset you get in when you take these photos, what you're looking for as an end result, which you covered, and it's pretty cool to see you in your element when, you know, so many times we've done things that I enjoy and, you know, you like watching me in my element, whether it be guns or ballistics or anything like that. Sex. So yeah, you do watch me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lex.
Sorry, Lex. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. TMI.
Yeah.
No, but seeing you in your element, it's awesome to watch. And I've always been curious as to what's going on through your head while you're like down on all fours and up underneath of a mushroom taking a picture of a spider.
On all fours?
You were on all fours out in the front yard. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And you're like, look at this spider on this mushroom. And I'm like, where? And then I see the photo. I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, you're like, oh, there's a spider.
Yeah.
Something I've taken from therapy with my ex, and I loved our therapist. The biggest mantra that I took from it that I apply to like so many aspects of my life is get curious.
Mm-hmm.
So like when we're hiking, I'm kind of like in a sense of wonder and awe of nature.
Mm-hmm.
So like when we camped, you know, seeing like we got there and we found this campsite. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. I love birch and aspens, like the textures and the contrast, the black and white, and just how I love, like I've always loved like polka dots and stripes and contrasting patterns that aren't too small and obnoxious, like bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So like trees, when I see the aspens and how white the white looks and how black the different parts of the bark look, like that's beautiful. When we got there, it was raining and cold, but everything was so saturated. Like all the colors were that much more rich.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when we were walking through all that wet grass, trying to find whatever the wolves or coyotes killed, I was still looking around like the awesome dew-covered cobweb. I didn't just shoot the cobweb. I then shot the aspen tree and the orange and the yellows that were dripping down because it was a wet tree. Okay, this is a total side tangent, but my dad, when I used to underpaint for him,
mm-hmm.
he would have me mix color, and I'm good at mixing colors. I was very good at color theory in art school. And so he'd say, he's like, okay, well, I need the color for this cloud. What color is that? I'm like, gray. And he's like, no, like look at it. And I'm like, I see gray. And then if you cut a hole in a piece of paper and then you put that hole, like a peephole, over the cloud, you see it's purple. And you're like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like your brain goes, oh, it's gray. But if you actually look at it and you use that as a cheat sheet, like a little hole in a piece of paper, you'll see that it's a completely different color. So when I photograph something like the wall, people think of winter. They think white, maybe some blue, lots of white. When I photographed that, I was completely taken aback by all of the color in that winter scene. There's orange, there's green, there's purple, there's the blue sky, and then there's the white. There's so much more color if you pay attention. So like that cobweb and that tree, you think birch tree, white and black. But if you look at the bark, you'll see there's like orange highlights and different colors that you would overlook. So my photography, my life has always been, it's in the intro for the podcast. I want to inspire people to give a shit. I want to inspire people to slow down. I think giving a shit requires you to slow down.
Yeah.
Because if you're too busy, you're going to overlook that. If you're too busy, you're going to miss out on your kid's life. If you're able to just slow down and really look at what's around you, the world is freaking beautiful. So that's what my goal is through my photography, is to inspire people to give a shit, to slow down, to live life fully, because we're really not here that long.
Right. And I'm pretty sure it's been on a couple of the shows, but we'll definitely put your website at the bottom, and maybe we'll drop the purple flower that I photographed so you could see the difference in a very novice cameraman and somebody who's skilled and steady-handed like you.
You tried.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, if you zoom in a lot on it, it's
not
not that
in
great.
focus. It's not in focus.
It's wonderful.
It's great.
Fucking
Good job, babe.
woo.
I'm glad that at least I could did I clarify?
Yeah,
stuff?
for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think if I pick up one of your cameras now, I understand what I'm looking at.
What do you mean?
Instead of just fractions and decimals inside the viewfinder, I now know that it's f-stop, it's shutter, it's ISO. Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
ISO. So now it's not just random numbers to me. So maybe someone else who's listening, who's staring at their camera going, wait, and they're rewinding to listen to what you're saying, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Somebody will get something out of it.
It is nice because you can see all of the numbers inside the viewfinder. But I think I started this and then went completely squirrel on it. Earlier, the R6 has more toggles on the top. So with the 5D Mark IV, you can like switch the shutter really fast. And if you hold down a button and do the same like switchy thing, like little clicky thing. What do you call those things? They like click. The thing on top that goes...
A roller?
Roller, sure. So the roller does the shutter. And then if you hold a button down in the back and you do the same roller, it controls the aperture.
Oh.
You probably didn't know that.
Ta-da!
Yep. But then what's cool about the R6 is there's another roller that immediately controls the ISO. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know this. So like I've literally got all of it right here with while I can still have my eye in the viewfinder, I can do all that, blind. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, thank you again for watching. I hope that you got something out of this, and please like, subscribe, share, all of that stuff. Do all that stuff so we know that we have listeners still.
And when you get to my website, it's livemebe, because I'm Olivia, livemebe.com. If you want to join my newsletter, I'll share the story behind one of my photos, where I was, how I got it. I'll share all kinds of stuff, different backpacking trips and inspirational content on there. So it's not just photography. Live Me Be is kind of like a principle of what I had on my website a while ago was, I'll let you be you if you let me be me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about like self-acceptance and accepting everyone for who they are.
Namaste.
I was waiting for that.